Yesterday, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic.
Hi, I'm Allison Truman. I'm a medical assistant. I work full-time in pediatric endocrinology as well as part-time as a medical assistant in urgent care. So in my full-time job, we have kids that have to go get MRIs done to make sure their pituitary function is good and all of that, but the sedation teams are calling us and seeing which ones are urgent, which ones can be pushed back, all of that. They flat out said we need to be able to save our ventilators just in case, because we've been going through a lot. That's the thing that it's really terrifying, because a lot of these kids, if we don't get those MRIs done, it's going to put a halt on their treatment and their medication won't get approved unless we have that test. And so to those families, it's urgent. But to the big picture, they're like, no, that's not actually an urgent need because that's not life or death. I've heard providers talking about it when I work in urgent care. BMI is a factor, age is a factor, their chest x-rays, their smoking status, all of those things are these factors because they have to give the people with the highest survival rate the ventilators. The problem with that is we could have a 70-year-old that goes jogging every day, has a really, really healthy cardiovascular system, but since he's 70, his survival rate is scientifically lower, but we could have someone who's 25, good BMI, but does a lot of really hard, heavy drugs. Their cardiovascular system is going to be tanked, but because of their age and BMI, they're going to be the ones that get the ventilator, but they could be the one that crashes if we don't know that they have a drug problem. And if they didn't say anything about it, then we have to assume they don't have one. And that's the really scary part for me, is the harsh reality of there are parameters around who will and will not get a ventilator if it comes down to it.
So tell me how long you think it's going to last.
I'm thinking it'll be mid-May, close to there. My provider elected to not see patients in clinic for 3 weeks, and we just finally started seeing patients in clinic again. Things have started to calm down a little bit, but I think the reason why the numbers are starting to dwindle down is because so many people have had it. Before we can really start having like big gatherings and concerts can come back and like going to bars and things like that, I'm thinking it's going to be closer to summer. Like it'll be like midsummer, something like that, because just trying to keep that from getting out of control again and spreading to everyone who didn't already have it. So it's a lot of give and take on that, and like trying to figure out how to keep it from spreading past this stopping point.
Tell me if this is what you want. From here down, I was going to do it on a level 3, and then like to the back, all level 3 back here, and then same thing over here.
How was your Zoom call yesterday? Yeah, it sounded like you guys were really spilling the tea.
So wait, do you want me to be super happy?
I want you to be yourself.
Because like, compared to them, it's obvious I've had like a shitty quarantine, right? My name is Avery. I worked at the Patterson House, which is a cocktail bar.
My name is Alex Marquez.
Hi, I'm Poem Atkinson.
My name is Ethan Palmer.
What do you do?
Well, currently, nothing. I'm a digital media strategist and content creator.
I'm a local actress in Nashville, and I'm also a children's acting coach.
I'm an apprentice for a guitar repair shop, and I'm an usher at the Rhine Conservatory.
We all are very different.
Oh yeah, it's a house full of characters.
There's a lot of just utter chaos. It's amazing how quickly we can just go from just being annoyed as shit with each other, and then to like, let me drink.
Ethan, or as we refer to him as Keithan, he's kind of a quiet character. I'm definitely the old man of the house. You know, everyone else here is kind of, they like to have a good time in different ways than I do.
Then there's Avery.
Anytime he comes out of his room, it's usually to make him a drink. We have to bring
Avery and I are probably the closest in the house.
Home will be like chaotic and good. You have a lot of energy, you know?
There's me, who is here making this documentary and trying to make the decision of how much should I film my roommates before they start getting mad at me.
What are you doing, Mom? Huh? Taking a video?
Yeah.
Oh. There's Alex. He's jacked. Isn't that right, Alex?
It's hard to explain him because he's very quiet, but then he'll like come out and say this really funny joke out of nowhere.
But I've gotten a lot closer to my housemates. Some nights we'll do karaoke and sing like we were idiots. The four of us, we all have different personalities, and it's always an interesting. So it's been 2 months then?
Are you serious? I feel like we've known them for like a year. That's crazy!
God, what a crazy time it's been. It's only been 2 months. It's just weird. Damn. My food's here.
I haven't seen these people in forever. I'm like kind of excited. Hello!
Hey, how's it going,
Hi guys! Okay, hey!
What's
how
going
are
on?
you?
Good to see you, girl.
Good. Just working on a lot of stuff. Where's Bridget?
She is finishing getting ready.
I miss you!
Sometimes a boy bites that butt.
Come here real quick. Yeah. Give me a kiss.
I can't believe you did that.
First off, mainly the kids have been home. We have 4 kids. 3 of them are in private schools, so they're still continuing to send the schoolwork home. So having them home from school for the last several months has been quite interesting.
We are full on
Homeschooling.
I think that's the craziest part. That's the biggest thing that I thought of when I thought about what is this like from a parent's perspective. Well, the homeschooling is completely changed your world.
It has, but we have one that's in public school. They've completely cut off schooling. There is no school. Whatever your grades were previously or what your grades are now, they have like places they can go online to, and they say you can if you want to, but nothing is mandatory. So more or less there's no education for them for 6 months if nobody's forcing them to do it. But if you have parents who are working or don't care if their kids are educated or not, then they're not getting that reinforcement.
Right. So tell me how it was transitioning to the homeschool process.
It was really difficult. The private school made it easier in some ways, but we do it just like a normal school day, 7 hours a day. And I'm not a teacher, so it's not been easy, but maintaining that structure is something that's been important for us.
There's been a lot of changes. I was going through a job transition at the time. Right before all this, I was medically disempowered through the police department. Normally they can find you a job to go back in and continue, but Metro Nashville has lost 35 to 40% of their budget by missing the first 4 or 5 months of activities that they have, the marathon, the CMA Fest, and all that. So
fundraising events.
those things
Hockey
bring in
games.
hockey games, the SEC tournament. That brings in a big portion of the budget. So they weren't able to keep me on in a civilian position. So they sent me home at the beginning of April.
Oh man, it's the whole family in here.
The first time ever, even in our marriage.
Yeah.
It's the first time he's been home.
12 years of working midnights, and then suddenly all this starts and I'm home.
Everything changed.
Everything.
So how have the kids been dealing with it?
The oldest is more aware of it. It's his last year in elementary school. So when he found out schools were canceled, he cried. I mean, it was really heartbreaking. He's very much extroverted, loves being around his friends, and so that was really hard for him, not being able to go down the street to his friend's house. But we have been really big about telling them fear is not something that we're going to give into, that we shouldn't fear this. We should have a healthy fear. Let's wash our hands.
It's been more or less, for the kids, they've gotten a few more privileges. You're stuck at home, so you're going to get more TV time or more video game time. That may be for more of our sanity than for anybody else. We've found things like it's brought back, more board games with the family and cards. And so it's had its positives. But the kids, they miss their friends. They miss going places. They miss going to the park. They miss going to the pool or whatever they
Having a birthday party.
Yeah, we've missed 2 birthday parties.
How have you been explaining the current situation to the kids?
Well, they heard about it from school first,
Okay.
but they don't know much about it.
For the kids, I'm more worried about what the new norm is going to be for them after this. I've already seen and I've already been asked to leave gas stations because I'm walking in without a mask. Is this going to be a new norm that people are going to walk around fearful of getting sick? I don't want to live in a world where you're consistently 6 feet away from somebody. Food is being rationed. Now we have a large family. I'll buy a 3-pound thing of hamburger, which isn't enough to feed all of us, and that's all you can have today.
We went and bought bratwurst, and that only has 5 in a pack, and there's 6 of us, and they wouldn't let us get any more.
And it makes you wonder if it can happen once, what's going to happen if COVID-20 comes around in the fall? Are we going to be right back where we're at? I just don't want that kind of stuff going on for them.
Yeah.
How many times do you get a time where literally everyone can be home together? When your kids are home, take advantage of it. Spend time with them.
Especially for our family, because we didn't have ours as babies, because they're all adopted.
So many times I've told myself, if I wish I had more time, I wish I had more time. I finally do.
So there's your ooh, so go ahead. And then play the next note. Hi, my name is Mark David Williams, and I am a vocal coach. at the Center for the Arts in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, with the Center Stage Voice Academy that I am the director of. And the last several weeks have been very interesting. A lot of learning, and I think a lot of information and knowledge that we've gained as to how we can do voice lessons online. And I've seen a lot of good things come from it. I've seen a lot of challenges. I've seen a lot of frustration, but there's also a lot of flexibility with it. I even have one student from Lipscomb University who lives in China and flew home and had to wait 14 days in quarantine in a hotel before he could go home to his family. So we did at least one lesson in his hotel room, and then we finished up when he was able to go home. So we were able to do voice lessons from Tennessee to China, and that was pretty cool.
1 and 2 and 3, 4. Let's see, how has coronavirus changed my teaching and I guess really my situation?
So this here is Katie. Hi, Katie. So Katie is on my iPad right now, and she's in her home.
So with teaching, everything has had to go online. So with drums, that makes it a little bit more difficult. You can kind of see some of my setup there. Lots of different mics. I'm making sure they can hear everything. Drums are hard to put over the internet just because they are so transient in their sound, and lots of highs and lows, and Zoom and programs like FaceTime don't love that. But it's working so far.
The hardest part is not being in the same room, obviously, because you really can't see and get a good feel of breathing and posture and all of that.
It's also forced me to get into the virtual lesson space and learn how to do that, such that I've actually acquired a couple of students from out of state that are now taking drum lessons from me.
I'm in my home studio right now. This is actually in my garage in Murfreesboro. This is where I teach. Sometimes I have done my lessons on my iPhone with Zoom, and sometimes I've used my iPad. I'm going to bring you over to my keyboard and show you how I've got this set up. It's really pretty simple. So here's my little setup. There's my iPad. I've got my little clock. I've got some pens. I've got water. I've got a notebook.
Other parts of life, I'm ordering from Amazon more than I ever used to. That's what we have to do to get some of the things we need because we can't go to the stores for a little while. Other things I miss playing live music. You know, do that a lot in my life. I guess the silver lining to that is I have done some home recording of me and some friends who did some arranging to a song. You can find it on my YouTube. Just go out and search Drum DCP, and I think you'll find me there.
Look at the little worm. Can you get that?
Power lines down. In severe weather, if you can
Or you might not see a
safely
very
send that to
So we're waiting for a storm.
possibly some large cables as well as it comes on in. So it's
I just mowed the lawn.
There's like going to be a massive wall cloud coming from the west here, and we have like a perfect view of it. I don't know. It's so cool.
you don't need to be outside in this as these winds come in. So still seeing pockets of very strong wind here.
So talk about your biggest struggle through all this?
Depression. You know, trying to just process things, going from one disaster to another, like the tornado to a pandemic, like literally a week and a half later, you know? I moved in here on March 2nd, and that night we had the tornado, which destroyed a lot of our neighborhood. We got so lucky with that. I mean, at least personally for me, it was very traumatizing. It destroyed like a lot of here in North Nashville, Germantown, all the way to like East Nashville where I used to live and where I used to work and where most of my friends live. Like just seeing like a lot of the businesses that you've went to on a weekly to daily basis just being completely ruined and like unrecognizable. It's just incredible. Like it's just, I mean, incredible, honestly. I just can't comprehend it really. Because I had to go to work immediately the next day, you know? I had to just like resume life as if it was normal.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and Avery was walking down that way.
But for me, it wasn't because of obvious reasons. Like, not obvious, because yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, should I say it or I mean?
It's up to you. It's your choice.
So like basically, like whenever the tornado hit, I remember being awake. I think it hit like around a little bit after 12. The sirens are going off. I had not sent anyone a text about it, which I had usually done on like every single type of severe storm warning. This time I didn't. Tornado hit us, and then I just went through town. I yelled for everyone to come down. It's like that. I used to work at a cocktail attaboy. I worked there from whenever we opened the bar ourselves together until last maybe October, November, I think, and then I went over to the Patterson house to bartend. But from there, I gained an incredible family at it, and in the middle of the storm, morning March 3rd, two of my closest friends, Mike Dolfini and his girlfriend, Aubrey. Dolph was working that night. I assume he got cut. He probably sat and had a drink, and then his girlfriend would show up and give him a ride home. And then that night, they just left at the wrong time. And then I remember like the slow process of finding all of that out. I found out very quickly that the first person to get killed was Aubrey herself. And then after that, I found out that 2 people died in East Nashville. And I just kind of slowly put 2 and 2 together, but refused to believe it. I found myself all night for the rest of the night, just scared. And then I remember going into work the next day. Literally, as I was opening the door to work, I found out that Mike Dolfini was the victim who got killed. And that was really hard. I considered him one of my best friends, and her as well. She was very special to me. He was very special to me. And then every single night, I saw a new person who knew them, and then who knew me, and it was just like another night of hugs and crying and hugs and crying. And then suddenly, the bars closed. How am I supposed to process anything if I can't continue my normal routine?
Oh my god! Dude, I could have sworn that those trees were like fly off, dude.
Oh, there goes the power.
Yep.
Was that it?
Yep. Holy shit! Dude, oh my god!
It did. No way.
You can see
Like seriously fell. It fell over. Look. You see it? Alright, here comes some thunder. So like you can hear that outside the front door.
it's just so cool.
It's like, I don't know. So also, this is exactly what you don't do when shit like this happens, is stand next to the window and look at it, you know?
Oh no, another tree fell. Yeah, like you can see straight through.
I've never seen power like that. It's been a really hard. Simple as that. It's literally been the hardest time of my life. Simple as that.
So what's something that's been good?
I just got a letter in the mail confirming my COVID testing. I have to get tested because I'm going in for my tonsillectomy in about a week. With the current, situation, everybody has to get tested prior to their surgeries. So it'll be good to know for sure.
That's it?
Just to get it out of the way.
I see you.
Hey, I see you too. I can hear you.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Hi, friend.
Hey.
Sorry about the other day.
That's okay. Let me figure out how to get this to where I'm sharing the screen equally.
What are you trying to do?
I'm just trying to make it gallery view. Okay, that's what I wanted,
Yep.
gallery view. Okay, so hi, how are you?
I am doing well.
Good. Let me make sure that we're all good here now. So you had tested positive for COVID-19.
Correct.
What were your symptoms like? Tell me about how it all started and then what symptoms came and went or became apparent.
In New York City, kind of at the beginning of America's journey with Corona. It wasn't super bad yet, but during the course of the week, things started escalating while we were there.
We got back that Friday and that Sunday morning. So like 4 or 5 days after, I'm pretty sure I contracted it.
Who knows like exactly where I got it, because it's New York, there's people everywhere. But I did find out a couple weeks after I got back. One person that I met and shook hands with, I was around him for like 20 minutes, but he tested positive. So that's where I guessed I got it, but there's no way to know for sure.
I just woke up like with a really mild sore throat and cough and congestion.
So it started off with a sore throat, and it kind of just felt like a cold for a little while.
Those symptoms went on for a few days, didn't really get any worse. I never got a fever.
That was like 3 or 4 days after I got back. And then in the middle of the week, I started getting other symptoms. I had a couple days of body aches.
The only symptom that was bad was I had this upper back pain, and I thought that it was because I was just sitting on my couch watching TV for extended hours, and but found out later that the back pain is a symptom. So.
And that whole time I was trying to figure out, should I get tested? Should I not get tested? Because I wasn't that sick, and so I didn't want to take one of the tests because there's been such like a low quantity of them. But I found a hotline to call to get advice, and they told me, you're fine for now, but if your symptoms get worse or anything comes back, you should probably get a test.
The only thing that lingered was the congestion, and then a few days later I lost my sense of taste and smell, which happens to me sometimes just when I get sick anyway, so I didn't think about that very much either until my friend Brian sent me this Instagram post from somebody else who had said that loss of taste and smell is a symptom for people who are otherwise asymptomatic, and I was like, oh, shoot, maybe I should get tested.
So I started to get better, and then probably 4 days later, my cough came back worse. And so I thought, well, it's time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a test.
And then some other people I was in New York with ended up testing positive. So I was like, all right, I'll go get tested. And I did. I tested positive. So.
Yeah. Where did you go to get tested? What was the testing process like for you?
I went to a walk-in clinic in Melrose, Vanderbilt walk-in clinic. It was pretty easy. There was not many people there, surprisingly.
So it was actually really easy for me. I've gotten off easy in so many ways, and I'm really thankful. I was able to go to a Vanderbilt clinic, just like a walk-in clinic. I came in, I was the only person in there, and just got a mask as soon as I walked in. I was in and out within like 45 minutes. The doctor took me back about 5 minutes later, just asked me some basic questions, and then they did like one nasal swab thing. I was in and out, and then the next day is when I got my test result back. So
it was my first time kind of out in the world since everything had kind of started happening, so it felt very dystopian a little bit.
Yeah, it's surreal to go out there now.
On edge, and I wore a mask and whatnot.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they told me the only reason I was getting a test is because I knew someone that tested positive, and that if I hadn't have known that person, then because my symptoms were not severe enough, they wouldn't have given me the test. So I'm grateful I got one, but it was painful. They stick that swab far up your nose.
Oh.
I found out a couple days later that I tested positive.
I was nervous about it for a little while just because I have what's called reactionary lungs. I used to get chronic bronchitis, so that just means that I have generally healthy lungs, but they react more severely when something irritates them, something like an allergen or a virus. So I was worried that if I got it, I would end up getting a really bad case of it. By the time I had tested positive, I was already pretty certain that I had it. And so when I got the positive result, I was actually really relieved because that meant that, okay, yes, I have it, and I have a really mild case. So my fear about having a really severe case, I didn't really have to worry about that anymore. It was mostly just relief to know that I was just had a mild case of it.
Even if you have a mild case, just knowing that you're a part of this global pandemic is super strange. It's super isolating and overwhelming and scary to see like all these numbers and know that you're one of them. I would say don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be hard on yourself. Do whatever you need to do to cope in a healthy way. If you need to veg out and watch TV, veg out and watch TV. Don't like put any pressure on yourself to be a certain way or do anything additional.
I would say just do whatever you can do to keep yourself healthy physically and emotionally and mentally, you know. Obviously, we need to prioritize keeping each other safe and not spreading the virus around. But, you know, go for a walk around your neighborhood. Like, don't come in contact with anyone, but go lay out on your lawn and get some sunshine. If watching Netflix makes you happy, then watch Netflix and don't feel bad about it. You do not have to be productive. Yeah. Well, that is all the questions I have for you.
Thanks so much for talking. It's cool that you're kind of diving into this and documenting this wild moment in history.
I'm trying my best. I just kind of felt like it needed to be done. So
Yeah.
All right, bye, Emily. Love you. I love you too. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think the biggest struggle has just been, I was kind of talking to my parents about it the other night. It's just facing the reality that I might have to pack up and leave Nashville very soon if I can't get some unemployment stuff figured out or get back to work or find another job. And it's just, I've been in Nashville almost a year, and that entire year has constantly been getting an opportunity that I thought would lead somewhere, and then it doesn't quite work out the way I thought it was going to, and then having another situation where I felt a little more comfortable and felt like it was going to be okay, and then that would fall through, and it's just, constantly happening over and over again, and I don't know why. I think this is kind of the closest it's been to feeling like I almost have to give up a dream that I've had of being here in Nashville and pursuing my passion of music, and I don't know.
What do you think about social distancing?
I mean, same as what I said before. It's necessary. It's needed. I'm getting kind of close to like my opinion, but it's a necessary thing that we have to do, and we're going to have to do it for a long, long time. What we're doing is not on the right trajectory, by reopening stuff so early. If you get sick, you get sick, I guess, at this point, because saying that, like, what's the point of social distancing, If they're just gonna reopen stuff, you can tell everybody, okay, everything's reopened, but please do this, do this, do this, do this, wear a mask, stand 6 feet apart from everybody, do all this. Like, how many people are gonna do all that? Not a lot. I can only do it so much myself, as long as the other person next to me does it themselves. Like, the person next to me is not wearing a mask and just keeps kind of like wandering around and getting closer and closer to me. What can I do at that point? It involves a vast majority of cooperation, and we're not getting that.
What do you spend most of your time doing?
This documentary. I spend most of my time doing this documentary.
Okay.
I was visiting my mom and just like trying to explain to her that I was just so bored and I didn't know how much longer I could do it. Time went on and on and on. This is day 54, by the way, 54 days. I just didn't know how much longer I could go on without doing anything, without using my creativity or expression. And she sort of just had the idea of, well, you always wanted to make a documentary, what if you documented this? And in that moment, it all just sort of came together in my head, and for the next month I've been working on it every day. I just knew it was something that I had to finish. As difficult as it has been, it's been so difficult because there is no team. Obviously I don't have a bunch of fancy gear, and everything's been shut down, and a lot of people don't want to get very close to you, and so a lot of people, when you talk about, hey, can I interview you? Well, it's like, whoa, we're in the middle of social distancing, you can't come interview me, So it takes someone who really trusts me to do that, and that's why I'm very thankful for everybody who participated in this. Thank you guys.
Puzzle of information epidemiologists have used to determine how deadly COVID-19 would be.
We won't know the true fatality of this disease until it's all said and done.
been really blessed because we haven't known anybody personally that has struggled with the coronavirus, and I don't know how we're so lucky. I have relatives in New York. They're very batten down the hatches, but they have not had to deal with it personally. But we think...
Yeah, we have some friends that had the flu in December or early January. And they found out that some people came to tour the Nissan plant from Wuhan, China in early November. And it kind of got me thinking, I wonder how much all this labeling is doing to our anxiety, because they didn't know. And actually they ended up going to the ER, getting a breathing treatment. It was a father and a son, and the son had asthma. So he went to the emergency room, they got a breathing treatment, and they sent him home and said he just has a bad case of the flu. But he had every symptom of what we now see is COVID-19. I wonder if they had said, you have COVID-19, you know, I'm going to be repeating myself a lot. The battlefield is here. And I'm not minimizing the seriousness of this at all. It attacks the respiratory system. But it just got me thinking, I wonder all these people that had the flu, now they know after the fact, but they're all well. Every one of them I know that are alive.
You know, I do think that the precautions that we've all been taking have had an effect. I mean, science backs that up clearly, and also, you know, a lot of people that have contracted it go home, quarantine absolutely for 2 weeks, and you're good to go, and that's proven, thankfully, in most cases to be true.
Do you think it's healthy to follow the news and media throughout this process?
You're not going to add a single day to your life by watching the news 24/7.
The other thing I would add to watching the news, to actually question more. And so what I mean by that is, so much of social media is people screaming at one another saying, I can't believe he said that. And what I want to say is, follow that one step farther, because what you're thinking, you're probably right. He probably didn't mean what you're so upset about. And then explore, right? Like, follow that. Instead of going, I can't believe he said that and I hate him. Instead go, how could anyone say that? And I learn more about their perspectives, and I see them as a whole person instead of just the soundbite. Then maybe I might realize, okay, that's what he said, but he misspoke, and what he was trying to say was, and on the whole, he or she want to accomplish this, which, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want to accomplish.
How is this new way of life affecting spouses and families?
Well, okay, I'm thinking of one thing. When Wuhan, China lifted the quarantine, 82 people immediately filed for divorce. And I had to laugh because I thought, okay, well, it is definitely putting pressure on the weak joints of any relationship, whether it's family or whether it's husband and wife. And even Steve and I at times, well, you know, I do this for a living, or we do this for a living, and I'll wake up in a funk. And he'll say, you okay? And I'm just off today. And he knows. We don't go, what's the matter? Did I do anything? I don't know. You know, no, it's okay. I recognize this is odd, and I feel like I'm off, so it's okay. And you just sort of let it pass through.
Yeah, so with couples and families, kind of two sides. On the one side, the tension is higher. Everybody's on edge, everybody's nervous. I read an article that was saying what we're feeling is grief. And I thought that was a really interesting point, but it really was right. It was saying what I'm saying here is that we have to realize this is huge, this is bigger than us, and grief is part of it. What's happened? This can't be happening, right? Denial. And then what they said is there's one more added to it, which is none of us know what's next. We don't know when we're going to go back to normal. And most of us at this point don't think normal's going to be normal.
Redefining normal.
And so we're all kind of on that too. So anyway, so the tension is way up, right? More yelling, more misses in communication.
Then there's a good side too.
We've seen some couples and some families that in some ways are being pushed where we've been trying to counsel them anyway, which is to give each other grace. We were talking earlier about historically with pandemics. About every 50 years and about every 100 years, something big happens. Everybody is realizing maybe we were working too hard.
It's like a reset.
And our society, if you think about it, you know, the old normal was 100% all the time. And you have to do that, right? You have to. And in the space of a week, the entire world can't do that.